Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, your host, Shane Solomon. I'm delighted to have on the sofa this morning, Jamie Lee. Jamie, welcome to the studios. I'm going to get straight into the content. And the question is, changing the future of hospitality burnout. Your thoughts?
So hospitality, stereotypically, it's an industry I've grown up in. I've been working in it since the age of 7 years old. And it's an industry where we work too many hours. We don't get our breaks. We don't eat properly. And normally we miss all the times with our own family and the wholesome experiences that we would normally get from our own birthdays. But it's just completely normalised. And you're expected to work your birthday. You're expected to work through your break. And for me, just after COVID, I personally hit a point of burnout. And I didn't really want to work in the industry anymore. And it's an industry that I've loved and I've grown up in. And I started asking myself questions of why? Why did I not want to do it anymore? And it's because the fun was gone because I was always so tired. So I decided to make a couple small changes for myself and for my business. And the main one being I capped all my staff's hours at 40 hours a week. And indirectly, I did that for myself as well. And it's the best decision I've ever made because it meant I had more energy to give to my team. I was a better leader. Everyone was happier. My staff retention was better. And I made sure every single shift that every single person gets a break, make sure the kitchen feed them. And if it's their birthday, they always get their birthday off. And I'll do anything I can to give them the time off they request within reason, obviously.
I love this. I love this a lot. And of course, I'll just back up that obviously I'm fully aware of you and your family's hospitality businesses here in Cornwall. And you are right up there. And it's interesting to meet people that are what I would call very successful in their fields, but also experience that burnout as well. So you're still subject to it. None of us are immune to burnout or, failures. Things happen. We learn from bits and bobs like that. But it's almost like the 4-day working week, which seems to be a big thing now in the office world where, people have kind of looked at it and thought, actually, if we do less days, our staff are actually more productive. And I guess it's the same thing then by limiting the hours to 40 hours, making sure they get, their birthdays off and things like that, and just boost the morale and more energy, like you say, right?
That's it. It's morale. They're actually having time to go to the gym. They can go for a beach walk before work. They're getting to do all the things they love without having to ask permission. And I think quite often in hospitality, it's you put in your holiday request form and most of the time it's going to be rejected. Whereas I will do anything now to get them that time off. It's not always viable.
Sure.
But time off in hospitality is just important as it is in any career. And at times I feel hospitality isn't respected as a career. It's very much treated as a stopgap. And when I moved home to be part of the family business, the amount of people that would say to me, oh, so what are your plans? What are you doing next? And I was stood there going, this is me. Like, I love what I do and I love people. And the negativity that was pushed back on the industry of being, it's not a serious career when actually it's hard work. It's fun. You make relationships for life, but people still don't see it as a proper career.
No, and I go out quite a lot. I'm very fortunate with work I do. A lot of it's in the hospitality space, going out for meals, going out for drinks and things like that. And I'm always complimenting all the staff, waiting staff, whatever it may be, the owners, because they really do go above and beyond to make you happy and to make sure you get a good service. And it's all about the experience when you're out and about, isn't it?
It is.
I always make sure I tip as well as I can. And it's a people business at the end of the day. You're into the people, and
it's visiting their home in a way, as in that's how we like to encourage our staff to treat
Sure.
guests when they come in. They're visiting our own house, as in if your friends came in for a cup of tea, you'd want to make sure you got them a cup of tea, you got them biscuits, you got their dog water.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot the biscuit this morning in the green room. Doing all the hospitality with your latte, and I completely forgot
It's all right,
the Biscoff.
I'll forgive you.
I'm
It's
so
fine.
sorry.
I'll take it to go, it's fine.
I need some training with you. That's what I need. Oh, I'm so good. Normally priding myself on hospitality. I've let myself down like a flat tire. So wellness for yourself and for your team is a big thing, right?
It's majorly It's a massive priority, and it's a core part of our business values. So something I introduced a couple of years ago was we added a mental health support line in. It's a phone line, it's just a number that's completely unique to our business. And it means anyone can call it any time of day. I won't know. And I just pay for that support. It's counselling, it's financial support, it's basically an advisor in any form of trials and tribulations that they're suffering from their life. They're able to talk through with someone from a professional point of view. And then from that, if there's anything they ever want to talk about with me confidentially, there's many members of the team that I've signposted and just gone for a long beach walk with them and taught through that, like, it is okay not to be okay. As cliche as it is. We've all had hard times, but the reality is it's not the failure itself, it's how hard it is to get back up. And it's when you do get back up, what you can do with that, because the resilience you're building as an individual, but also with the team around you. So we talk quite a lot about mental health in the workplace, and I train my team to manage like mums. So we're trying to soften the management approach and kind of reduce that drop your stuff at the front door before you come in, don't talk about it. Because it is important. And for example, Mandan Cornwall, everything they're doing at the moment is incredible.
Absolutely. We've had Ross in here on the show.
Have you?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But I've also signposted members of my team to that charity, which is incredible that we've got something like that in Cornwall. It's something that's not going to get any better. And the reality is, if your team are still working these 80-hour work weeks, the first thing that's going to go is their mental health.
Of course.
And I feel as employers and leaders within the industry, we need to do something about it. And it's following COVID, it pushed us all, myself included, to absolute breaking point. And I think it showed the industry everything that was wrong with it. Hospitality at times has now become inhospitable. And I really want the industry to become a healthy industry that when I have kids that I would want them to work in.
Sure.
Because looking back, I don't think I would want my kids to grow up in this industry that I grew up in.
Sure. But then for things to change, we have to change, and people like you, spearheading that, it's a great thing. And I think looking back, things have changed over the years, and that if you was to look at staff members, or I like to call them team members as opposed to staff, employers might have said that their staff were like liabilities to the business and things, but they're truly assets. There's no business alive that couldn't survive without the team. I couldn't do all this without a team. If Megan wasn't producing and Jay and things like that, it's all, you're part of a team. So I think it's more important than ever that we value our team and doing things like you're saying, making sure that there's a mental health line available for them to use. It's the same here. And we've got, if they want to go to the spa, we've got the Headland Hotel as a corporate sponsor, and, they can go down and chill down there and things like that, because it's so important. So look, you're an obvious leader. Where did you learn it from? What kind of tips and motivation can you give to people listening into this podcast thinking, this Jamie Lee is quite the real deal?
I'm still learning myself. Every day is a school day. We never really stop learning. But I was fortunate enough that both my parents were leaders in the industry. My mum was a hotel manager growing up, and she's my main role model. My dad obviously started the watering hole, I think it's 45, 46 years ago. So he was a trailblazer in his own right.
An absolute legend.
He is, Bob Job. He is, he's a hero. And also my brother, Tommy, has achieved many things. So I would say my main role models are my family. They've pushed me more than probably your family can push you in ways that you don't really, that most people can't. They can say things that not everyone feels True. They can. And my kindness and what I've learned in that form of leadership has come from my mum, because naturally a lot of my role models were male. And that's something I really struggled with when I was trying to find my voice as a leader, because I was naturally conforming to male traits, because I was like, they're not listening to me. And the reality was, the fact they weren't listening to me wasn't my fault. I was just surrounded by the wrong people. And what I needed to do, which the advice came from my mum, was I needed to find my people. I didn't need to change who I was or my female leadership qualities, because I'm quite a sensitive person, which I've now learned is my strength. But before, it was very much that my emotion was seen as a weakness, as in, I feel everything. If my team are upset or someone's going through something, I do take it home. And if I'll think about it at midnight and be like, oh, I hope they are okay. I'll want to do anything I can to alleviate that pain.
Sure.
Whereas I used to be like, oh, I need to put a boundary up. I need to block it. Whereas my mum said to me, she was like, that's your strength. That's your superpower. You care so much about your team that you prioritize it above all else. And that's having that person in my life that was able to say that to me and go, no, you don't need to change that, was unbelievably helpful, because I was questioning myself. I wanted to be the big, strong leader and to be heard and not have to repeat things twice. And the repeating things twice wasn't actually my fault. It was because people didn't want to listen to me as a female. And that's something I'm still navigating today.
Okay, so just touching on the kindness side of things, because I would like to think that that's one of my biggest values, is being kind. How have you ever found people taking advantage of that? And if they have, how do you deal with that? Because in our nature, being kind people, you want to really give and be, as kind as possible.
It's something, again, that I'm still learning from every day. People do take advantage of it more often than I'd like. Because kindness is perceived as a weakness, because they're like, oh, she's a pushover, when actually I more think my point of view is everyone always gets one. As in, if someone does something that isn't kind, I'm all about having a positive conflict and have like a chat about it, and we'll work through it and talk about why it isn't okay. And if after that constructed and kind conversation they continue to disrespect, then I would normally take action following that. But I always like to give someone the benefit of the doubt first. But I've been taken for granted and walked all over more the times than I'd like to admit. But I'm also quite fiery now. As in, I've found my fire.
You learn that side as well.
Yeah, I've got my boundary, as in kindness comes first. But if someone disrespects me and takes my kindness for granted, and then the fire kind of follows up now, which it never used to.
Sure. Let's talk about women in business, and particularly here in Cornwall. It's a great buoyancy, I think, of what I see on social media of women doing great things in business here in Cornwall. What would you think about the perception of women in business being bossy? Is that over us men? Do you think, or is it a level playing field?
I feel bossy is basically a negative way of saying assertive, and it's a word that's created to negatively talk about a female trying to achieve something or trying to like take control of something. Like quite often when young children are running around and there might be a 4-year-old girl telling her little brother not to do something, and we'd naturally normalize calling her bossy. And from a young age, we're kind of like adding that word to people's vocabulary.
Sure.
I think...
Bit of conditioning kicking in here.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, even my own parents, they called me bossy when I was younger. But to be fair, I've always been quite strong-minded. But again, it's that use of that word. I was strong-minded, assertive. I knew what I wanted to do from a young age, and I had a very stubborn mindset. Sure. But I feel quite often this word tends to come from when men or women, it's not just men, feel uncomfortable with certain female qualities. Like I can be a warm, fuzzy female, but I can also be stern and blunt. But when the stern and blunt bit comes out, it does make people uncomfortable, and that's naturally normally when they insult me. Whereas there's stereotypical masculine traits, which there's nothing wrong with me having masculine traits. And I just think as a world of leadership, we've got a long way to go. And I push hard against it. But the reality is, bit by bit, more women now we're lucky enough that they are speaking up and going, actually, you can't speak to me like that.
No.
And that hopefully 5 years time, we might be there.
Yeah, well, in my humble opinion, we're all equal. At the end of the day, you know, we come in with nothing, we go out with nothing, we all bleed the same. And I just look at everyone as human beings and just be kind, you know. I want to know a life lesson that you've learnt being a business owner.
A life lesson.
What's it taught you? Anything in particular that you, you know, by using the skills in business and your experiences in business?
So nothing is static, as in we have great days and we finish them and we have this sense of awe and what a great day it was. But the reality is the next day could be an awful day. And that's life and that's also business. And it's just enjoying every element of the good and the bad because it's all part of the process. We're learning constantly. And I think prime example would be the other day I had the best day ever. My team were incredible, had amazing conversations, and I went to bed, had the best night's sleep because I was so fulfilled with happiness and purpose of what I do. Next morning I woke up, the freezers had tripped out overnight and I'd lost £1,000 in stock. And that's the down of it.
And the reality.
Yeah, it's just what happens.
Yeah.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I think you just got to evolve with it. You have some days we're growing financially, some days we're growing from reputation, and then other days I might be growing as a business owner. But we're always growing in some form or another, just maybe not always all at the same time. I think for me personally, I'm similar to yourself, get to meet so many people, and I've learned how people work and I've learned how people think, and which has been beneficial to the business because it means I now know what the right type of people are that I want to work with, whether it's suppliers, whether it's recruiting, or whether it's new businesses. Within that first 10 seconds of meeting them, I've developed something called I call it a sixth sense. It's that gut feeling of you're my vibe. Yeah,
that's right, the vibe. And that's another one to talk about, the vibe. Everything is energy for me. And as soon as you turn up today, and I know we only met briefly before because I was filming down at your place, but it was such a warm welcome, and I remember that, you know. So when I see you again, it's like, oh, I like this person, you know, I like that vibe.
Well, your vibe is your tribe at the end of the day, isn't it? And what we put out into the world is what we attract. So I think... God,
I need longer than 20 minutes with you, Jamie Lee. This isn't long enough. Yeah. What you think about, you bring about, all those kind of things, right?
Exactly.
This podcast is aimed to inspire and motivate people, and I'm so grateful for you coming along and giving your time along with all the other wonderful guests we had. But just to round up, any kind of parting words, any favourite quote roundups for people listening to get on with the day, whether they're starting off in business, they're in the middle of their journey, or even towards the end, any kind of inspiring parting words, you know?
Personal favourite one at the moment, which is from Brené Brown, is... you can't get to courage without vulnerability.
I like that. I haven't heard that one, but it makes sense, right?
And it's something that resonates with me a lot. I think being vulnerable is a strength, and it's something as women that showing our emotional side, we need to see as more of a strength.
Sure. Now, we haven't plugged where you are actually from. If you want to give the people a shout, where they can come and experience your hospitality and that of your team, this is the time.
So I'm from Summer House and Alcatraz in Perranporth, and also the Watering Hole. So it's a family business, but predominantly my focus areas as a business is my lovely team at the Summer House and Alcatraz.
Yeah, indeed. We'll make sure that we put the links to every social media thing in the show notes, the link on YouTube and everything else. Well, the time I knew this was going to happen, it happens every time. I can speak to you for hours now.
You get to the end, you're like, gotta go.
Oh, do you know what? It's just your philosophy is great. The way you think is great. But you surround yourself with awesome people, you're going to get awesome results. So, well, there we go. Jamie Lee Job. Make sure you give her a follow if you're not already following her. My thanks, as always, goes to the wonderful team here helping me put this wonderful podcast together. And that, of course, is Megan. And today, mixing the podcast, we have the wonderful Jay Kennett. So share it, like it, love it. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Morning Mojo. But for myself and Jamie Lee, we'll see you soon and have the most amazing remainder of your day.